Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this one's killer. It's with Marc Smith from the Patriotic Pig in North Richland Hills, Texas, which is kind of between Dallas and Fort Worth. This one's amazing. His catering prowess is quite spectacular. If you've heard his story before, there's definitely going to be stuff that you haven't heard before. If you haven't heard his story, you're going to be fascinated by how he grew his business, how the pandemic really put a stranglehold on that business and how he came out of it, and the amount of catering he does right now, the amount of weddings, it's unbelievable, and it's really interesting. So we go a lot into the nuts and bolts of his business. I know you're going to dig this. I'm so happy that Marc took the time and shared all about his catering and restaurant business. So sit back, relax, enjoy this. Be sure to stay safe and visit your local barbecue joint. Good afternoon, good evening, Marc. How are you?
Good, good, good. Yes, a lot going on, a lot of construction going on. So as you've probably seen on Instagram, I'm trying to share what all we're doing. And
Is it just the not just, but is it the pit room, or is there more to that, or is there?
yeah, pit room, and I'm running some more. I need more power circuits for all the warmers in our catering suite. So there's always seems like there's always something that needs to be done.
Off and on when we've talked to set this up, it seems like you've had some electrical issues. Is that what these issues have been? Is that you need to pull more power?
Now that one was my main breaker in the restaurant. Just decided to go out mid afternoon, I think on a Saturday, and
Oh,
they just
splendid.
had to they ended up replacing the whole panel. We lost power. It was down for about 6 hours, so we had to pull everything out of the walk-in and try to distribute it into other refrigerators, and it was a nightmare. So
We get
trying to
into the portion of the interview about like why or why not to get into the restaurant business, or what are the
yeah,
pitfalls or the tough things about restaurant. These are the things that happen
yeah,
behind the scenes that people don't see.
right,
It's
yeah,
daily.
because
It's
there's
probably
always, and that's why I got four M&M smokers, in case I had a problem with one of them. From my IT background, I believed in redundancy and backups and disaster recovery and all that. So I've got backup warmers, I've got backup fridges, I got backup smokers, got
smart.
backups for my backups.
I didn't realize you were doing it for that reason, and that mentality is there, and it just does
Yeah,
translate to this business because a lot of people don't have backup stuff, and then they're out of luck,
yeah,
or they're running stuff. I know
yeah,
people that used to run stuff over to people's houses, and yeah.
yeah. Brandon Hurtado just reached out to me. I've got a wireless thermometer on my walk-in, and I posted something we have a group, kind of a Facebook group for all the barbecue guys and all the barbecue restaurant owners. I posted something in there, and he reached out. He's like, "Hey, what was that thermometer you were using?" Because I guess his walk-in went out, and
Oh,
he's going to end up getting one now. And I was like, "Oh," I told him, I said it's the worst. So he's going through that right now, and
uh,
I've been there.
and they're expenses that aren't they're not predictable expenses. They're just and they you have to fix them. You can't not fix them.
Yeah,
It's interesting. Like the more restaurateurs in general that I talk to, and then also off camera, I learned so many different things about the business. And I've managed some
yeah,
barbecue joints, and like I've gotten those like calls at like 2 in the morning. The alarm went off, and it ends up being nothing. But thankfully it's nothing.
yeah,
But there's all these little nuances. Well, so the
yeah.
IT background. Let's talk about your background. Where did you grow up first?
Carrollton area. And then I, of course, went off to the Army, went over to Germany and Bosnia, and then came back and got into, kind of just got into computers and building them, and worked for a little kind of geek squad type of place, going out
Oh,
and
really?
fixing computers. And yeah, and then got into servers and got Microsoft certified and to work on servers, and started doing all that fun stuff, VMware virtualization and mail servers and you name it. I was pretty much doing all that kind of stuff. So we got tired of that and started barbecuing just on the side. And then the rest is history. It blew up from that. And we ended up doing quite a bit of business just out of our, catering out of our house, doing private events. And
Let's roll back just a little bit. For the
yeah,
Patriotic Pig, did that come about? Was that a competition team, or was that something that?
it was I got a buddy who runs 22 Kill. It's a veteran nonprofit.
Mhm.
And I wanted to just kind of help him, raise money for his events. So that's pretty much, I was just going to do it on the side. And I couldn't think of I think I was thinking about Patriot Barbecue at first. And then I don't know, I was coming home from work. I was like, Patriotic Pig sounds cool.
It does.
I was envisioning a barbecue restaurant with, and at the time I was riding a Harley. So, Patriots and hogs and
Oh, that's cool.
Patriotic Pig just kind of hit me. So I was like, that sounds pretty cool. And we even have a mascot, Patriotic Pig mascot that we take out to little fall festivals at elementary schools, so
Oh, that's
they
cool.
get it. they get a kick out of that.
Curious, when I was thinking about the name, do people get confused by the name thinking that you only have pork?
Some have, yeah,
They can figure it out
yeah,
if they talk to you for a
yeah,
second or look on your
yeah,
website. Or I was just thinking like some people,
yeah,
it seems like people are easily confused these days.
yeah,
So
yeah. I've had a couple people ask me that. We're like, no, we got everything. We got brisket.
at what point with the IT stuff did you sit down with your wife or talk about like we're gonna jump to this because this is not something I want to do, or how does that conversation
Yeah.
work and how does that kind of transition work?
It's probably, I think I remember being in a conference room at my IT job and cranking out quotes and trying to place my food orders and, going to Restaurant Depot and all those types of places and coordinating everything. And of course, my boss walks in, he's, said, okay, we need the conference room now. And he asked me to, he's like, you're not going to be doing this much longer, are you? I said, no, probably not. I said, I'm literally probably I think I was doing, I don't know, 4 or 5 weddings every weekend at the time. And that was, a big deal when you're working a 40-hour week
Yeah.
job, IT job. So I talked to her. I said, hey, we're getting so busy that I think I can replace my income, my IT income. And I think that's the hardest thing to do because I was in IT for 15 years, and
Yeah.
just to give that up, and you don't really just jump back into IT because once you're out of IT, it kind of passes you by, so you got to stay up with all the technology and
True.
everything. And I just had a feeling, I was like, this thing's blowing up. And
Were you cooking because the trajectory that you talked about doesn't involve any cooking? Were you
yeah,
barbecuing on the side for friends and things? I know you said you're doing this for the
yeah,
nonprofit. Is that how you got your skills? Is by working those events? Or?
yeah. I took barbecue classes, it all started, I guess, I took a barbecue 101 class down in Houston, the Gator Pit. It's a smoker builder down there.
Oh yeah.
And taught by a pit master. And that's kind of what got me really interested. And then I went up to Illinois to 17th Street
Oh,
Barbecue.
you did that.
And yeah, I took their Mike Mills,
Yeah.
when he was around. He's passed away since, but
Yeah, that's nice. You got a chance to
great,
spend some time with him. Oh.
awesome guy. Yeah, I took his. They have a business of barbecue class.
Mm-hmm.
They have a catering master class, and they have a whole hog class. So I took the business of barbecue, and it kind of gave me the courage to quit my IT job because they took us behind the scenes for 2 days, showed us the whole restaurant operation. We talked about marketing, we talked about finances, talked about mental health, talked about everything, which was very interesting. And Mike and Amy, they're
Salt of the
sweetest
earth,
people.
just such great people.
So
Yeah. Do you remember who the other people, pit masters that were there at the time? Like, because
oh yeah,
they bring in like 4 or 5 people
yeah,
generally.
yeah. I remember walking in. A Malcolm Reed was sitting at the bar, and I was like, I used to watch his videos,
Of
to
course,
learn
yeah.
how to barbecue. And I walk in, I was like, holy crap, that's Malcolm Reed right there, sitting with Mike Mills. So that was pretty
That's really
cool.
cool.
And
Now it makes sense. So you were taking those
yeah,
classes. What did you buy a pit at the time? Like what, the Gator Pit, or did you have a different pit?
I had a trailer pit that I went and bought. I went out to Lubbock and bought a 250-gallon trailer pit that was
Okay.
rebuilt by a welder, and that was my first pit. And then I met AJ, AJ's Custom Cookers. I know you interviewed him.
I love him a couple times. Yeah, no, he's such a
Yeah,
great guy.
I met him, and then he's built so many pits, for me now. It's
That's
crazy.
killer.
He built a big double, I don't even know what to call it. It's just double smoker pit. He's worked on my food truck. He built 3,000 my first 1,000-gallon pits. He built me 3 of those. He's building me that hog pit right now.
He's currently building you a hog pit with this gorgeous look.
Building me that hog pit, and then I took one of the 1,000 gallons and we're going to put it on a trailer that's sitting over at his shop right now. So that's my next project with him, is to get that 1,000-gallon of his on
I
a
did
trailer.
for some reason I didn't know that.
With
That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I love AJ. I love hearing when people are
Yeah.
using it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we got the taco showdown this Sunday. He's going to be out there with me.
Oh,
We're
cool.
going to cook a couple of hogs, and he's bringing all his live fire tables and stuff out there. So
Please tell him hello for me. I haven't
Yeah.
talked to him in a little while, and he's such a
Yeah.
great guy, and he's always been super kind to me. And so you were
Yeah.
on the phone, the conference room, for
Yep.
how were you getting these jobs, these catering jobs? Did you post something online, or did you or word of mouth, or?
It started word of mouth. My first catering gig, it was my neighbor. I was cooking on a little ugly drum smoker that I built, that I learned about from that class down at the Gator Pit. He told me, hey, just if you want a cheap, good smoker, go build an ugly drum smoker. So I, looked on YouTube, found the plans, and built one. And then, that was my first pit. And then my neighbor asked me if we could cater a grand opening for a new orthodontist office in Frisco.
Okay.
So that was our real first catering gig. It's about 100 people. And at the time, I told her, I said, well, I can't feed that many people on my drum smoker. So I said, give me a couple days and let me see if I can find a trailer pit. So I took a cash advance from a credit card with my wife's approval, of course, and said,
Smart
"Babe,
man.
I'm gonna go buy a smoker, but I'll have it paid off, after maybe a couple events." And she's like, "Okay, let's do it." So she let me do it. She let me buy the smoker, and then I drove to Lubbock, bought the smoker, came back, created the menu, created the business name. I didn't. Like, I got to make some sides. I got to come up with some recipes. I don't have anything. So created all that, sent her a quote, ended up doing the gig. And then that gig turned into a wedding. And then it just took off from there, because, one bride will
Yeah,
tell
that's
somebody
true.
else. And
Huh?
then the venue put us on their preferred vendor list. So then I just took that trailer and at the time, all these barn venues were popping up
Hmm.
and everybody was wanting barbecue. So I just took that trailer and started hitting up all the barn venues and passing out samples and
Smart.
said, "Hey, we'd love to be on your preferred vendor list if you don't have a barbecue guy yet." And sure enough, nobody had one yet. I think it was
Ru-
all timing.
Roughly
Timing
what
was
year was
perfect.
this?
I quit my IT job in 2017, so probably that year,
So a
because
couple
we
years
created
before
the
the
business
pandemic.
name and we were just basically catering at our house because you didn't need a. I talked to Tarrant County and they said you don't need a health permit or you don't need a permit to cater private events. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, and then
What kind of
yeah,
menu was it? Was it brisket?
3 meats and 4 sides. It's pretty much standard and whatever kind of the usual, sausage,
Yeah.
ribs, that stuff.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, wow. That's and then yeah, and that's also something that I didn't realize prior to working at two barbecue places. One in particular here in Los Angeles is how much you can make off of catering. Like catering, if you know
yeah,
what you're doing, if you know what you're doing proper, if you can do it properly, because it can become overwhelming and you could make a lot of mistakes,
yeah,
but there is profit to be made in catering. And so you were
right.
rolling along, but then it got too big. Is that when you got this location?
Yeah. Well, my neighbor ended up calling code enforcement on me because he didn't like the
Love
smoke. Yeah,
always the
jerk.
neighbor. Yeah, there's always that
So
one guy.
yeah, so he called code enforcement on me, and there was a code. They said there was a city code that you can't run a catering business out of your house, and I didn't know that. So they're like, they said you got 72 hours to get all this equipment out of here and get your smoker out of the driveway and all that sort of stuff. So, and we were ready to go mobile anyway, so I went and bought the trailer, bought the food truck, and then we had just signed a lease, I think that week, on the restaurant.
Okay.
So we basically parked it out back behind the restaurant. I ran power so that we could just basically cater, out of the food truck, and then parked the trailer pit back there with it. So that's where we were catering while the restaurant was being remodeled.
Were you heading up the remodel, or was that something that when you signed the lease, they were going to rebuild the restaurant? Or
No, it was all on me.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
my landlord's yeah, he doesn't want to. I had to sign a lease
Hey,
where basically everything is on me. So, but it was
yeah,
fine.
probably common. I don't know how that part of the business works. But then
Yeah,
this is like probably 2018, 19 ish.
yeah. 2018 we signed the lease because 4th of July weekend 2019 is when we opened the restaurant.
To 2019,
So
and
yeah,
then
it took
something
me a
happened.
year.
Okay, so it took you a year, and then when you
Yeah,
had the restaurant going, how many cater? Now this is a question I want to ask you. Do you call it
yeah.
catering or caterings? Because I Texas,
Both.
because people have
I
been
kind of
saying
use.
in Texas says
Yeah,
I have a bunch of caterings coming up, but in
yeah,
Los Angeles they'll say I have a bunch of catering coming up. So it's just,
yeah,
you say
yeah.
caterings,
I
right?
guess caterings. Yeah,
I don't
probably.
know. I
I
think
just
it's
say
a southern thing. I think
events
it's a
or something.
events. Yeah, actually. Okay, so how much catering were you doing at that time when you opened the restaurant?
Right when we opened,
Yeah, July of that July, or
I
roughly. Or
know, I know, I was doing about a $500,000 out of my house. So that's probably why it was a little. I
wow, so then it
turned
was
my
a big business out of the house.
yeah, I turned my garage into a commercial kitchen. I had 2 Vulcan ovens back there. I had a plumber. So I hope the city's not listening, but I had a plumber
I
modify my
highly doubt
gas
that.
line to run gas lines in there. I had 8 20-amp circuits run so that I could, hook up my warmers and fridges, and then basically, inside we had a second living room, and we converted that to a prep kitchen, and that was if I showed you pictures, you'd be. I showed them to Daniel Vaughn with, I sent them to him because he was asking, and
Can you please say I won't publish them, but can you please send me some?
yeah,
There's a couple I'd love
yeah,
to text me some because it's just I'm
yeah,
curious. That's what in a, so you had
yeah,
an operation going from your house
yeah,
that's pretty massive.
yeah. It was a
So
little big. Yeah, we
how many
had
employees do you
catering
have?
vans rolling up. So
Yeah, you had
what's
catering
that?
vans. You had employees with
Yeah,
catering vans, right?
yeah. But we were, we didn't at the time. I think we're still trying to find a building. We
Yeah,
didn't have any. We were looking for a place, but we were also, growing at the same time. So we were like, well, where are we going to go? Are we going to get a food truck and work out of a? I was talking to commissaries to maybe park the food truck at the commissary and
yeah,
cater
makes sense.
there, and so I was just trying to figure out what to do,
Yeah, your long
and
term
then
goal wasn't
I
to
was
do it out of your house forever. That wasn't your
no,
long term
oh
goal.
no,
Yeah, that person kind of pushed it, but you already had signed the lease
yeah,
on the restaurant. And
right.
then when the restaurant opened, were you planning? Catering was always going to be a big component, and then the restaurant. What hours were you going to be having the restaurant open
Yeah.
at that time?
Originally, when we opened up, we were only open even like 4 days a week in the evening,
Okay.
because we were trying to get the caterings out first. We usually we'll get those out around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and with the weddings and everything. So, but COVID hit, and we're like, okay, we got to expand our hours now because we don't have a choice. So
Yeah, and
we had
then
to,
I think in that article that I read from Daniel, you had to make some drastic life measures to make this work, right?
yeah, yeah. We ended up selling our house. We were on the fence about it, but I ended up telling my wife, I was like, we got to sell it. We don't have a choice. And then at the time too, I got a little bit of inheritance money from my grandmother, and so we poured that into the business, and so we did everything we could to, everything that we had to try to
Yeah.
dump it into the business, because the PPP loan didn't last us very long, so.
But didn't you get
And
an
then
apartment near the? Didn't you rent an
yeah,
apartment? Okay, you moved into an
yeah,
apartment.
yeah,
So you changed your life to make this
yeah,
continue to go.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
because we had to. I remember at one point we had I think I had $1,000 in the bank and a $9,000 payroll. So I was just like, how are we
Oh,
going to do this? It's like,
how do you sleep? Like, is that? Do you think your army training helps with that somehow, or with your that background? Do you think that helps too?
I think so. I think so. Just, they train you to operate on no sleep. They just drop those fake bombs in the middle of the night, get you to wake up and, play war games at 2 a.m. in
Yeah.
the morning. And so, yeah, don't give up.
Don't give up. That's no, that's
Yeah.
and that's not for every scenario. That's not probably there's certain restaurants where eventually some people
Yeah.
might have
You
to,
have to.
but this was
Right.
something that you wanted to. So did you switch all to go and all to
Yeah.
because all your catering business just dried up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All the venues shut down. So we were pretty much forced to just, we had to close our dining rooms. And thankfully, I had just gotten set up on Uber Eats and DoorDash and Grubhub, because if we would have waited, all those guys, their support teams were overflowed with
Uh,
restaurants trying to get on the platform. So it was taking, if you wanted to get on DoorDash around that time, it was going to take 3 months, they said, because they didn't have the tech support staff ready and trained to onboard all these
on
guys.
board,
So I was like,
yeah.
oh, hallelujah. So we were still doing, I think, 25,000 a week and just to go orders. So we just had drivers, coming in nonstop, and we had access to, TP and bleach and all this stuff that people wanted. So we turned our dining room into a little kind of grocery store.
Mhm.
And I just reached out to the community and asked them, hey, what do y'all need? I mean, I can get potatoes. People said they couldn't get potatoes even. So,
I know, I remember.
and the U.S. Foods and Benny Keith had it all, but they just couldn't get it to the stores because the stores didn't have the staff to put it on the shelves. So I was like, well, I just turned my dining room into a grocery store. So,
Oh, that's so smart. Oh, that's so. Did you
you
have
know,
were they able to deliver at least to your restaurant, or did you have to go pick it up at
yeah,
their warehouse? Okay.
yeah, yeah. No, they were still delivering.
Such a weird time. It's kind of foggy for a
Yeah,
lot of people to even remember what that was like and what that panic was. I remember going to a grocery store and only being able to buy 1 pound of meat. I had like 5 different kinds of
yeah,
meats and stuff, and then they're like, "No, you can only take one." Like I had to choose one
yeah,
of them. But it was a weird time. So luckily,
yeah.
all that timing is perfect because if you didn't get on, if you weren't connected to all those delivery services, you would have been sunk. Would have been sunk,
Nothing.
or
Yeah,
would have been a lot harder.
because we're not in the greatest of areas, so we don't have a lot of foot traffic. We do so much catering, so we have a bigger building and the rent's cheap. So because it's not in a prime location.
Can you explain
So
where
that's
that was my next question is where are you located
yeah.
and what is that place like? What's that area like?
Well, we're in kind of the southern southern part of North Richland Hills, and it's not the greatest of areas. There's a lot of crime. We're kind of in the hood of North Richland Hills. So,
Okay.
but I was hoping that we could kind of revamp it a little bit, and once we moved in, but we're right down the road from a Richland Hills Police Department. So there's cops that roll up and down here all the time, and I think everybody pretty much knows not to mess with us. I'm sure you heard about the sign on the front door. So
Yeah,
we've got a
the
gun-friendly sign, notorious gun-friendly sign on the front door, and I like to think that it's kept people from. We've only had one break-in, and that guy was pretty ballsy. So I
Hey,
like to think that it kept most people, at least made them think twice, before
and if
trying to break in here.
if
So
simply a sign does that, that's all right with me. I
yeah,
think that's
yeah.
that's it's kind of nice. And is how far away are you from Dallas proper?
From Dallas.
Yeah.
We're right in the mid cities area, so we're smack dab in the middle of Dallas and Fort Worth, which makes
Okay.
it great for catering too. So we can,
Okay.
yeah,
So that's
literally in the middle. They call it mid cities.
Okay.
Bedford, Euless, Hurst area.
Once things started to open up again and the catering, did that just transition back to it, or did that take time to kind of build that catering back up?
It still took time because people were still hesitant to travel. Somebody's grandparents that lived out of state didn't want to. They were still hesitant to travel, and so the weddings were smaller. There was no, we used to have 300, 400 person weddings, and now they're, at that time they were 50 to 100, and it might be in somebody's backyard instead of a venue. People either didn't have the money or drained their savings trying to stay afloat themselves. And so, yeah, it was a mess there for a little while.
When did you start seeing things coming back to normal, or feel like things were back to normal?
Probably I'd say the next year, even 2021, maybe even 22. Last year we did, we catered 500 weddings, and they called it the wedding boom year because everybody that postponed their weddings,
off,
pushed it off for a while. So last year they predicted it was going to be a wedding boom year, and sure enough, we did the most weddings we've ever done. So it was.
I bet that's the most weddings any barbecue joint did. Oh, you think? Do you think there's another barbecue joint that did more than 500 weddings last year?
No, pretty much everybody in this area, they know that I got a couple of guys that call me the king of barbecue catering. So, it feels good, but yeah, it's a lot of work. You got to have a lot of staff, a lot of equipment, a lot of, like we've got tons of warmers. You got to have a lot of smokers. You got to have a lot of space, storage space, everything. It takes a lot to cater it, high volumes.
You have to have people that you trust that can help manage those details of the business too. And you have and so when did and then the restaurant is reopened, so there's that component too, right?
Yeah, so and we get a lot of good referrals from catering weddings. We ended up the DJ at a wedding worked for American Airlines, and then we ended up catering American Airlines for Thanksgiving and Christmas one year. Because the DJ loved our food. He came up to me and said, "Hey, can y'all cater 1,400 people Thanksgiving and then do it again on Christmas?" We were like, "Heck yeah, we can. Let's do it." So it turned into a nice little holiday invoice. So
definitely.
You never know who you're going to meet, at a wedding. We've done some events. I think Ted Nugent was at one of the events we did. And
so what's the biggest event that you've done? 1,400 people, or
that 1,400 person was probably pretty big. We did two 900 person events in one day. So it's not one event, but that was a pretty big event. But yeah, I think so far it was probably a single event was probably that 1,400 over at American Airlines. Of course, we run the food truck all the time. And those are pretty big events too. So
if someone is watching this now, or they know someone's watching this and they listening to this, and they know someone that has an event coming up, how far in advance do they have to book it with you guys?
If we're available, we'll definitely try to get there. October's a little crazy. There's a lot of fall festivals. The city hall puts on fall concerts. So I think we've got 5 or 6 events this month or in October. But other than that, yeah, we don't run it all the time. We usually just try to bring it out for large events.
Catering in general, how far off? If I had a wedding in November, are you still available for weddings? Or will you always squeeze somebody in? Is that?
Yeah, we can. Right now, we can do up to 13 weddings in one day. That's our cutoff. So there is a Saturday in October. I know it's wild. Last year 10 was our cutoff, but this year we bumped. Now that we have the new M&M smokers and we've got some new warmers, we're like, all right, let's bump it up to 13. We think we could do 13. So that's our max. And there is one Saturday where we have 13, and we've already there's what Saturday in October where we have 13 weddings, and we've already turned people away because we're at our cap. So we could have done 15 or even 20. I don't know how many people
That's
we turned away that day,
phenomenal.
but yeah, we try not to turn people away just because the venues refer us, or a lot of other wedding venues refer us, and we want to be able to. They get excited to talk to us, so we want to be able to accommodate them if all possible. So
How many briskets are you, like, say when you have 13 weddings coming up that weekend, how many briskets will you be cooking with the restaurant briskets too? How many total do you think you'll be cooking roughly?
probably that week is probably gonna be, I'd say, 150 ish, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and we can get almost 100 briskets on one of those M&M rotisseries, and with the four,
So an
yeah. So
M&M 2000 can hold up to 100 briskets?
yeah,
Wow.
I think it's 96 to 100, depends on the size of them. So
Okay.
we had some larger ones that we were able to get about 96 on there, and
So you have 4 of those.
we have four of those M&Ms. Yeah. So we're dedicating. We have 2 of them that were saved. They were using just for brisket, one for pork and one for poultry. That's kind of how we keep them all separated that way, so that way we can know kind of always know what's on what.
And you have 3 1000s from AJ, right? Offsets.
Yeah, I can't use those. 2 of them are offsite, and then the one is over at AJ's. The city's been a stickler about the size of my enclosure, so that's why we had to go with the rotisseries. Just because if I use too much square footage, I'm kind of maxed out. They said if I go any bigger, I got to put in sprinklers, and that's a $50,000 expense that I don't want to spend. So they said they bent the rules or whatever. They said they did everything they could. They pushed the limits. I think, yeah. They said we pushed the limits on allowing you to expand this enclosure as much as you're doing now, and don't go any bigger. So I said, okay, it's fine. So we did I didn't have enough room to get 8 offsets back there. Yeah. So, and then I can only get about 50 briskets on one of those offsets. So one of those M&Ms is equivalent to 2 of the 1,000-gallon offsets. So and they take up less space.
And they hold temp really well too, right?
Yeah, they're a lot more controlled. In the past we've had guys that they don't want to check the pit that often, so they'll load it up to 300, or bring it up to 300 degrees and wait on it to drop to 170 before they check it again. And I'm just just I want to smack them. I'm like, that's not how you do it.
You can control things a little bit better. I was wondering why you got 4 of those pits if you already had all these, but it makes sense. The cities are notorious across the United States for being sticklers for a lot of different things. So that's okay. That makes a lot of sense. So these can hold you off and make it work for, especially too with the holiday season coming up. You should be really busy. This is.
Oh yeah, we've never done whole turkeys just because we didn't have the space, but I'm going to think about it this year for sure. Because man, I don't know, 4 of these rotisseries full of. I'd love to see them full of whole turkeys. That'd be a sight for sure. Mike over at M&M would love that.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, they would definitely figure out a way to use that video footage. That's really cool. This is really interesting. So then if let's talk about just the catering part, then let's talk about the restaurant. So catering wise, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? And do you have lots of different packages? And
typically we just do just straight barbecue right now, but I just hired a chef. So we are trying to expand our catering offerings, maybe do some ribeyes or some nicer, because there's a lot of, I guess, fancier venues in Dallas that don't usually bring in barbecue.
Okay.
So we'd like to get on their radar as well. I don't, because almost everybody, it's like they pick the venue first and then they pick their caterer. So when they reach out to us, if they don't like what we have to offer, they're going to go to somebody else. So we want to have more than just. We do want to have more than just barbecue. It would be on the catering side, just that we could do. We're already kind of doing, Tex-Mex if they want to do tacos, or we've done a burger bar before. We've done a loaded potato bar. We've done, whatever they want. We try to make it happen. So,
you guys cut brisket on site usually?
Yeah, we always cut it on site just because we have people that come up to us and so they look at it like, what is that? And they're from California or Canada. It's like, you don't know are you seriously don't know what a brisket is? And they're like, yeah, I've never seen that.
Not like that. Back when I was a kid, I never when I was younger before. Yeah, I would have been in awe of what definitely. Yeah. And then also too, it's fresher, but also it's presentation. It's part of the
Okay. And portion control too, because
true.
people will, you put brisket out, they're going to take a pound.
Hmm.
Some of them will.
Oh yeah,
So if you slice it in front of them, you can portion control it. You keep it at its maximum juiciness, and
yeah.
and it's a crowd pleaser. So
That's smart. All yeah,
for
hits
sure.
all three of those things. And then so are people when
Yeah.
people call though, are they kind of do most because most people aren't having things catered all the time. They call you and you'll give them a quote and you'll walk them through how to order properly for their group. Say they have 100 people or 80
Right.
people or 300. You'll kind
Yeah.
of say this is the percentage of proteins that you need, and because
Yeah.
it's a lot of people don't think that way.
Well, we just send them a questionnaire and find out, if they need staffing, or if they need to bus tables, if they need desserts, if they need plates, if they, what are the are they renting dinnerware, or and just what are the venues requirements? Because some venues require that the staff stay all night long, or the caterers stay all night long. And we've partnered up with a baker to make all of our desserts. So we
Cool.
buy them wholesale from her, and then she supplies our restaurant and our catering side with desserts. So that's worked out pretty nice too, because we have the oven space, but that's a whole nother.
That's a whole
I
other
don't really
ball.
want to. I don't want to get into baking. I mean, when we order rolls, we're on a busy week. We're 4,000 rolls at least. So there's no way I'm going to try have the time to bake 4,000 rolls.
Oh, that's like to be
Yeah,
like a fly on the wall of your operation if you're not familiar with it. It must be overwhelming. Are there times like do you feel steady all the time, or is that something? Or are there times where like, oh my gosh, this thing's like a beast?
yeah. This is our busy season right now. This October is when everybody wants that fall wedding, and
Yeah.
it's cooler, it's not hot. Nobody wants their grandma sitting out 110-degree heat. In Texas, we actually had an older lady pass out, fall at
Oh,
in a wedding, because she was out in 110
yeah.
100-degree heat. And I was like, why would you have her, why would you have an
Oh, that's so
outside
sad.
ceremony? So
So you send a questionnaire, and that helps out.
yeah.
Like once they've written you back with that information or given you the information, it'll be
Yeah,
clear to you guys what. And you guys do staffing obviously, but you guys have like the dinnerware, plateware, all that stuff. Like, can you provide all that stuff?
we've got some kind of fancy plastic dinnerware that
Yeah,
it's
right.
got gold trim, or gold, or rose gold, kind of look, or silver. And it looks, we've had people ask us, can we throw this away, because they thought it was
Too
like a
nice.
reusable plastic. They didn't know it was a disposable plastic. So we're like, no,
Gotcha.
yeah, throw it away. So, and that saves people money a lot of times,
Mhm.
because when you're renting real dinnerware, you have to have a lot of staff to, because you have to scrape them on site and then repack
Return
them
on,
up.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's a lot. So a lot of people they don't want to deal with that. So,
Yeah. Are you going to these events a lot? Are you staying at the
oh no.
restaurant? Okay.
Yeah. Currently, I guess, maintenance man, plumber, electrician, inventory, you name it. Just kind of whatever's, people bring me stuff that's broken all the time, and pretty much kind of
You're the
I
fix
fill
it
in
guy.
as needed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do some welding here and there. One of the construction guys ran into my gate, so I had to break out the welder and do a little how to weld that thing back on, and had a drain, back to restaurant problems. I had a drain that backs up, and water lines, will leak, and toilets, need all their
Yeah.
parts replaced because they're running. And it's like every day something. Yeah, they say more money, more problems. It's more
More
equipment, more problems, because I've got heat compressors going out in fridges, and heating elements going out in warmers, and
crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, so what are the
So
hours for the restaurant?
yeah, 11 to 8 Tuesday through Saturday, and then 11 to 3 on Sunday. We're
Okay.
closed on Mondays. That's kind of my recovery day, restock, and that's when we get our truck in and trimming briskets and getting ready for the week and all that fun stuff. So
How busy is the restaurant, or how busy has it been? Pretty busy.
here lately, it's kind of slow. I don't know if you read Daniel's article. A lot of barbecue
Oh
joints
yeah,
right
yeah.
now are down, about 20%. That's pretty accurate. I think it's the heat. Even my U.S. Foods rep said, he came out and he said, "Yeah, I didn't want brisket because it was just." He said, "I love your brisket, but it's too hot. I just wanted to get a turkey sandwich,
Yeah.
because it's lighter." And so it's just so hot here that nobody wants to go out and fill their bellies, full of barbecue. And
Yeah, it's been
and
hot. It's been
brisket
hot. Yeah, it's been
prices
and brisket prices. Yeah, that's
are
are
so
all.
high.
And how do you deal with that on the catering side? I guess you offset it. Like it's easier to offset it on the catering side, probably.
Yeah, kind of, because you lock in a contract
Yeah.
several months out. We do have a clause in our contract that says if it goes up over a certain amount,
Okay.
we can renegotiate or replace that protein with another protein. And just because during COVID it went up over $6 a pound, 6.50 a pound, and we took a big hit there because we estimate. I think we estimate the high cost of brisket when we quote the weddings. Kind of what the maximum we think is going to go to, and just to protect us.
Yeah.
And so now we've kind of bumped that up to about $6 a pound, and if it goes over six, then we usually call them and be like, all right, something.
Were they okay with that,
Yeah,
or okay?
yeah. And a lot of times I could just say, hey, it's going to be another, for this brisket, it's going to be more expensive, or we can downgrade to a high choice brisket or something else that
Okay,
doesn't.
gotcha.
We don't necessarily have to remove the brisket, but just to keep us under that,
Yeah, you figure out a
under that.
way, but it's just
Yeah,
it's a challenge. It's a huge challenge. I know I talked to Arnis a couple shows ago, and it was just hearing it come from him, and and Arnis, they've had, Evie Mays has had a lot of accolades, and I think
yeah,
in people's mind, people just think everyone's just killing it and everyone's selling out, and everyone
yeah,
on social media shows their best side of everything in life, and
yeah,
it's just it's been a challenge, and so it's but
yeah.
like what's your favorite thing? Like what right now? What's your favorite thing to order at your restaurant? Like what would you want? But what would be a perfect platter or perfect meal for
Hmm.
someone if I came in or if someone came in?
I mean, this good stock brisket that we're using, it is. I mean, it is really good. I'll just get a brisket sandwich, just trying to watch my figure a little bit.
Right?
So,
We're all getting older.
but it's just, man, it's just so good. It's hard. I mean, it's we've gone through probably a dozen briskets since we opened, trying to find the right one. And I know a lot of other barbecue joints have certain locks, on other
Yeah.
briskets where we can't even touch them. And so once we and I blew these guys off for a little while because we were using Open Prairie. I don't know if you heard of it. We were using that
Yeah.
for a little while, and I liked it. And then so when the Nolan Ryan guy came out, I just kind of said, no, I'm happy with my brisket. I don't, I'm not going to change. It's kind of just didn't want to waste his time or my time. And but then we started having troubles getting the brisket. Tyson's having issues apparently, and Hutchins I hear is they told me Hutchins is buying up all the Open Prairie. I was like, well, dang, I can't get Open Prairie anymore now. And I called that Nolan Ryan back, and or called Rob and that Nolan Ryan beef, and said, hey, do you guys still have any capacity for for my brisket? And he said, yeah. He came out, and I think at the time I told him we were only doing about 40 cases a week. And then, I told him, I said, well, now we're doing about 80. And so he's like, oh, let me make a phone call. And so he was able to, that's the problem, is trying to get a really good brisket at,
Yeah.
high volumes like that, 80 cases a week. And especially during the busy season, it's around 60 maybe when you're slow, but
I've just heard
yeah,
I've heard a couple people mention good stock, and they good
yeah.
things about them. Yeah.
I'm happy with it. Yeah, it's especially on those M&M smokers too. It's smokier. I mean, it's got to have that rich beef flavor,
Yeah.
or I don't even want to waste my time with it. So it crosses all the T's that we're looking for. So it's really good.
Are you happy then? I mean, are you happy that you suck with this? Like, what's what's your takeaway from all these years in the restaurant business? Like, what have you learned about yourself or learned about the business?
That's a good question. I didn't prepare for that one.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's probably just I can handle a lot. I know that for sure now. It's because it's all on me
Mhm.
to all the financial decisions, all the equipment purchases. I gotta, it just the lack of sleep, and like you said, alarms going off at 2 o'clock in the morning, and
Mhm.
people quitting, or people stealing, or just
Yeah,
whatever, dealing with staff issues and all that drama. And
the emotions and
it's yeah, just and people, and yeah, if people quit, I'm the guy that's got to go back there and trim 600 pounds of brisket overnight because
You got it.
we got to get him on the pit
Yeah.
tomorrow, so it's but luckily I have a really good manager too that
Yeah.
he he'd be right there with me. His name's Eric, and great guy. He acts like an owner even though he's not, and those guys are hard to find.
Yeah, no, it's important to have that
So
because they can because when they care enough about it, that's the
yeah,
big deal. That's the big deal. Well, also it probably
yeah,
tested your marriage and showed the strength of your marriage because you
yeah,
guys have been through a lot, and that's like how do you?
yeah,
It's that's not easy. It's not easy
yeah,
on a good day in a marriage. Like it's like hard.
yeah,
There's always things. So you
yeah. Because we
legend.
work together, and in the beginning we hired her sister and her sister's boyfriend, and we ended up having to part ways with them, and just because for various reasons it's
Yeah,
hard to work with family, and
so hard.
and they still haven't reconciled that relationship really, and but so
Tough.
now we really try not to hire family at all, and we try not to hire couples, for that reason too, because if you
That's
have
smart.
to let one go, the other one's gonna be bitter about it.
That's
So
really good
yeah,
advice, actually. That's like right that nugget of advice there because I
yeah,
forgot I didn't think about that. That's true. Yeah, because
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why you
We've
don't
had
like. That's like
several
people. Yeah,
couples.
yeah.
We've had several couples where we have to fire one of them, and then the other one, kind of gets bitter, and then they quit too, or whatever, or just have a bad attitude. So we try not to
Yeah.
even go down that route. So
Are there any organizations that you recommend people like for like to donate or to be a part of or like because I know you mentioned the first what was the first one that you said that you had done some catering for?
yeah, he's with 22 Kill, but we've partnered up now with Cowtown Warriors here out of
Oh,
Fort Worth, and they do a lot of great work for disabled veterans, and you kind of if they need their house remodeled to make it
oh,
ADA compliant or something like that, they'll go in and just remodel the whole thing. And
I
so
love that.
anytime they anytime they need anything, I told them, I said, my food truck's y'all's. We can either bring it out to, if you guys are doing a fundraiser, we'll either bring it out to add value to your event by offering free food, or we can bring it out and sell barbecue and then donate the proceeds to your
Oh,
organization. So
that's
we can
great.
do it one of two ways. We've done it both ways, or we'll just donate all the food and staff to an event that's charging $1,000 ticket. We did a fishing tournament for American Valor Foundation, which is Chris Kyle's
Huh.
parents' foundation, and we donated all the food and the staff to that event, which was awesome. To be a part of that.
Okay, well, I'll put links to those below, and I
So
think it's
yeah,
important that people recognize that, and there's still those
yeah,
organizations still need our help and still need
right,
that's it,
yeah,
and our veterans need our help big time in this country. It's just
I know,
it's criminal. It's just the way
yeah,
we could go on. We could have like another hour talking
yeah,
about that, but
I
and I
know,
also like I was gonna say I I appreciate your service and but I truly do. But I
yeah,
also
thank you,
appreciate your you know everything about what you've accomplished. I feel like
yeah,
it's a testament to you were in this service IT, and that's also too like that's not that's kind of heady at times
right,
and it gets nuts at times, but it's like you got through that and now
yeah,
you're at the restaurant business. Like you've taken on three different pretty
yeah,
monstrous jobs, and you've
yeah,
that's impressive. I'm very impressed with that too.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's
thank you. Yeah,
yeah, this has been great. Is there anything about your company or about you guys or that we missed talking about that you want to make sure people recognize? Or I
no, nothing I could think
think
of.
we've covered a
Cover the
lot.
catering, restaurant, all the joys of
Yeah.
owning a restaurant, and yeah, we've I have Dane's Craft Barbecue. He's a really good friend of mine. I think that just there is a true barbecue brotherhood. We have a Facebook page where all the restaurant owners share information, and we all chit chat about what's going on in the community, in the barbecue community. And so and when I was looking for a brisket, I'm friends with Chris at Panther City. I reached out to him, and he sold me one of his open prairie briskets, raw, uncooked, and because I was trying to figure out,
Oh, really?
what brisket I wanted, and he was just he gladly, sold me one. He's like, here, try this one, and we really like it. And he said it's the next best thing to Wagyu, and and Dane's been over here making sausage with me and my staff, kind of showing those guys how to make sausage. And he borrows catering equipment from us all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm going to try to go down there to that barbecue fest and help him out too at the barbecue fest, just so he can. I was hoping he could leave some of his staff at the at the restaurant in Alito and maybe try to bring in some revenue. And I kind of want to go down there anyway. And I'm friends with. I've met John
Yeah.
Brotherton and Russell Regals and all those guys and these classes that I've taken and down at A&M at those barbecue summer camps and all that stuff. So I'd like to kind of touch base with those guys again. But just I mean, I don't know how it is everywhere else in Texas, but here in Fort Worth, I mean, we're all rooting for each other, and
I think
it's
mostly
really cool.
that way. Like the people that I talk to, they truly care about each other. There's like a small group of people that are kind of standoffish, and we all know who those people are. But otherwise, it's and they all have the same struggles and same everything. It's just it's at different levels. But I think that it's nice to hear that about Dane. Dane's so great. I'm so happy that they have their new restaurant coming up. That's killer. That's going to be, and I feel like it's, and I mentioned it, I think when I talked to someone last week too. He like I think he's it's a sleeper restaurant. Like his food is so good across the board.
Yeah. I know.
People don't.
I'm trying to beat him in the Cowtown Burger Showdown, but I we did that showdown together, and I was like,
oh yeah,
I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to
that's hilarious.
Get that burger trophy. So
when is it? When is that? Is it?
It's probably next. I think it's in the spring.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
because we're doing the taco showdown, and then we're doing a burn-in. I think we're doing a burn-in showdown I think it's next month, and then the burger showdown I believe is in the spring. So we'll go back for that. And
well, sounds like you're still like doing fun stuff too, which is important. That's the mental health aspect.
Yeah, and that's what I enjoy doing, is getting the food truck out. Get out of the restaurant every now and then, because you get so buried in fixing stuff and all the mundane day-to-day stuff. So it's nice to be able to get out, go to these festivals, meet all these other barbecue guys, try their barbecue, and
meet people.
I've been to I mean, I'll be honest, I've been to other barbecue joints, and I'm like, wow, this is better than mine. I got to step up my game. I got to find a better brisket, because
that's important. No, it's important to know. Because if you just stick in your own lane, then you never know what other people are doing.
Yeah, right. And they've got different flavors that I like. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. I'm gonna have to. I don't like to copy anybody. I like to just kind of take things that I've learned from different people and kind of make my own thing. That's what I've from these classes that I've taken. I kind of take bits and pieces, and every class I take a class as much as I can, and I mean I still learn some little piece of information. I'm just like, why didn't I think of that? So
well, because someone will share some information with somebody, and then they'll share it with somebody else, and so unless you're getting it like through a class or through something else, and if you don't know that person, you're never going to get that little tidbit.
Right.
And it is like the restaurant business in general. It's always about kind of keeping one step ahead of yourself, so that way you're offering what you want to offer, and you're staying in touch with your in step with your competition. But also too, it's like you're catering. It's what you've created. And when I had wanted to talk to you for a long time, and I didn't realize your catering was this massive. And then I read Daniel's article, and I'm like, my gosh, this is crazier than I imagined. Like you're doing something different than anyone else across the United States. And maybe the
really
world.
Wow.
I think so.
I figured Hutchins and Terry Black's, I hear a lot about their catering, so I figured they were, I know they're popping out some barbecue. So
Hutchins probably, but they also they don't. I just haven't read about it. I haven't talked to them. I'm sure Terry Black's does a lot of catering, but they also do a lot of business just in general. Because their hours are crazy too. Like they have their Austin location which gets a lot of like the convention center business, and
I think they probably do more corporate catering, and we do. I'm sure we do more weddings. We've got.
True. That's a good point. Yeah.
We've got a lot of staff that mainly just do focused on the wedding side of it. And like I said, we know all the wedding vendors, all the DJs, all the photographers, we're all pretty much we're all a tight family. We all know each other and refer each other. And so
that's good.
Kind of the same
Yeah.
And the same deal. So that's what I've trying to been focused on too. Is I want to, me personally, I want to kind of pass off this inventory maintenance. I'm gonna hire a maintenance guy that knows
Right.
welding and and pass that off to somebody else so that I can really kind of boost the corporate catering side.
That's smart.
We've been catering a lot at TCU here lately. We got on their radar, so we
Oh,
just
cool.
fed the whole football team out there at TCU, and everybody loved it. And
That's cool.
somebody put something on a TCU parents page, and now it's we're getting several orders,
Oh, cool.
a week from TCU. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of industry coming to Texas and that sort of thing. So there's opportunities that exist in that corporate side that'll be, yeah, that's exciting. And who knows?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
if maybe somebody who watches this who knows somebody will pass that along. So hopefully,
Yeah.
that's just there's a lot of
Heck yeah.
there's a lot of options, and now that COVID's essentially over, or the good the bad part of it was over.
Yeah.
That things are opened up, so that way you can actually exist as the company that you should be. So it's
With all these investments we made, we're like I said, we're ready to ramp up for hopefully a busy catering season and a busy next year. So that's kind of where
yeah. I hope people like
Where
that's.
we
I
got our
hope they
goals
choose
set.
you as an option because you're ready to go. You and then
Yep.
you could do 13 weddings a day. So
Yep.
that's so
Hopefully
crazy.
15 next year. We'll see.
Excellent. Yeah, cool. Well, and I can't wait to meet you in person once now things get settled with my mom and we get more
Yeah.
get further along
Yeah.
in her healing process. But thank you again for
Yeah.
taking the time and for
Yeah.
for doing what you're doing, and
All right.
thank you.
Bye.